And welcome to Penalty Box Radio Live, presented by Salas Realty Group. Salas Realty Group, your premier destination for Nashville, Tennessee real estate, and also brought to you by the Nashville Spartans, Nashville's one and only junior hockey team based in Nolensville. I'm your host, Alex Doherty. Joining me is Sean Smith. Sean, what's up?
Ready to talk hockey.
All right. Today on the show, the Predators sandwiched a nice Dallas road win around two baffling losses on home ice to the Calgary Flames and Anaheim Ducks. Almost called them the Mighty Ducks.
Whoa.
Not mighty any longer. They were pretty mighty last night.
They were mighty last night.
Well, what is going on with this team on home ice? It's truly strange. And speaking of strange, UC Soros continues to struggle. We're going to talk about that. Halfway through the year, a little bit of time to get concerned. And then we're also going to talk about someone named Tyson Barrie, who I believe plays defense.
Heard of him.
For the Predators.
Yeah.
And then we're also going to have the 3-on-3 draft at the end of the show. But we start every show with the puck drop topic. Actually, before I give you that, don't forget, text the show, 615-737-1025 if you have questions or comments about the Nashville Predators, especially if you have any answers about what's going on with the team.
Tell us secrets that you've learned.
Yeah. Text in 615-737-1025. But the puck drop topic, Sean, do you think Amy Adams-Strunk would fire Andrew Brunette at this point in the season?
Yes. She's firing everybody.
I think she wouldn't, but you know what? I think she would fire Barry Trotz.
Wow.
Because she likes to fire people. She would pick the most random person to fire, and she'd be like, that's the one that needs to go.
Oh, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, she does fire a lot of people. She'd probably fire partner. She'd fire whoever's the most popular person in the building.
Yeah.
She'd fire partner. She'd
True.
fire Barry Trotz.
She'd fire Pecorine.
Philip Forsberg, Pecorine. She'd tear down the statue. She'd go out there and rip down the statue.
Man,
Yeah.
what a maniac.
Oh, boy. All right, well, we're going to talk about hockey. That's the only Titans-adjacent thing we're ever going to mention on this show. But let's talk about what happened, because the last three games have been very strange. They had this great Dallas win. Let's talk about that first, because, I mean, they had just lost to the Dallas Stars, and that was a tough loss for them. I'm sorry, that was a great win for them after having that tough loss, the week prior, losing in the last second. But then, I think that the fact that they had that great road win and then they come back home to play Anaheim, and Anaheim has just had this trade, everyone anticipated, okay, this is where they build a little winning streak here, and that did not happen.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, we talked at the end of the last show about these three games that we just saw over the past week. What did I think needed to happen? I said that I thought the Preds could win all three of them. I never in a million years would have expected this result. Maybe a loss here or there, potentially a loss in Dallas, but I felt like Calgary and Anaheim were pretty solid. You could chalk those up as wins. But for whatever reason, on home ice, losses. And then this big win in Dallas. Really, really shocking to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Friday night, the previous game of that was the Calgary game, so very similar. And both of these games just have awful starts. I mean, like they had, let's pull it up. They were down 4-2 at the end of the first period against Calgary and fought back valiantly, but lost 6-3. And then against Anaheim, they were down 3-0. And the McTavish goal, which we're going to talk about later, really kind of putting the cap on in that first period, because it was like, I mean, if they're down 1-0, not a big deal. 2-0 against the Ducks, you think you can probably make that happen. But then you're down 3-0 and you barely have anything going, and it's just like, man, this is just not going well.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, that was a rough one. That was a real rough one. And I know that we're probably going to get into it a little heavier a little bit later, but man, you felt like the air was sucked out of that building. The team looked like it was defeated early, and it just felt like passes weren't connecting. Simple things like sticks weren't on the ice to receive a pass. It was bizarre, and they had good chances, Alex.
I mean, they had some good chances. There were some decent performances. Tomasino had a good game. I think he was all right at both ends.
Yeah.
The big one is that UC Soros did not, I don't think, played a very good game. We'll hear from some things he had to say about that later. But the Anaheim game, to me, the reason it stands out is because I really felt like that might have been the worst one so far, the worst home loss.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, there's also and I think you have to think about it in context. I mean, considering the opponent, Anaheim was shorthanded in terms of they lost Trevor Zegras early in the game.
Yep.
They didn't have Jamie Drysdale, their best young defenseman. They were starting their backup goaltender, although Lucas Dostal looked pretty good. Considering all that, and they lose 6-3, 5-3. What was the final score? 5-3.
It was 5-3.
Yeah, 5-3.
And what's funny is that was all late game action, very late game, too little, too late stuff. Garbage time goals, I guess you could say. I don't know. It's nice. Okay, they got a little bit of fight in them toward the end there, but the beginning part of that game, the first 50, 54 minutes, 53 minutes of that game, it was rough. And you say it's the worst loss. I mean, you take a loss like the home loss to Dallas a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was a heartbreaker. The game was close. The Preds were up, and then right at the end of the game, Dallas comes back, ties it, then wins. I mean, it's you could consider that a bad loss because you kind of felt like that win was in the bag, foot off the gas at the end of the game.
Yeah,
Dallas capitalizes, but when you come out and you're very quickly down 3-0, especially like you said against a team, the Ducks, they're not very good. I will say, I said at the beginning of the season, the Ducks were a better team than they had been. I don't know what happened. It's like the wheels fell off.
Yeah. And it's not just the results on the ice. I mean, the splits at home are not great. They're not awful in terms of the record. For example, they are at home overall. They are actually. Hang on. I don't think I'm looking at this right. Okay, there we go. Home record when scoring first. Wait a minute. I thought I had it. I don't have it anymore. Basically, the record home and away is not terrible, but the on ice play, and that's I think what is bigger issue. The bigger issue for most people is different. So I was looking at this according to Natural Stat Trick. When they're at home, their expected goals share, in other words, the number of chances that they really generate for their team versus the number of chances they generate that are generated by the other team. 51%, 51.5%, which is 15th in the league, so like average.
Okay.
But away, it jumps up to 52.5%, which is 7th. So they're like a top 10 team away.
Okay.
They're an average team at home. Kind of weird, right?
Why? It's baffling.
Yeah, it is very weird. I don't know. But we'll talk a little bit more about it, and we're also going to talk about UC Saros because that is a big thing going on right now. I'll tell you some stuff that I talked to him about today, give you some insight on, give everyone some insight on maybe something that's happening. There's no real answer here, but I did talk to him today and got a little bit of a feel for some things that are happening. But so we'll talk about that later. But I think the bigger thing is there's something happening with UC Saros that we need to talk about, and I don't think any of us knows the true answer, right? I mean, it's just goaltending is a little bit confusing at times. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. Nashville, if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, look no further than Salas Realty Group. Salas is not just about property, they're about people. They build long-lasting relationships that are about you, your needs, and your dreams. Salas Realty Group stands for trust, transparency, and community. They're committed to making a positive impact in Middle Tennessee, one home at a time. If you're ready to make a move, visit Salas Realty Group today and experience real estate the Salas way. And welcome back to Penalty Box Radio Live, presented by Salas Realty Group and the Nashville Spartans. Sean, are you aware of the goaltender named UC Saros?
I've heard rumors and legends.
That was me delaying trying to get my document pulled back up.
Okay, well, I've heard of them.
So let's talk about UC Saros, as we talked about before the break. There are some real signs that this year has not been a good one for him. I think we all kind of knew. We know that the deal with him is about a slow start versus how he is by the end of the year.
Right. We've dealt with that for a while.
But we're well beyond that, right? I mean,
I think we are.
Does not seem like we're at slow start anymore.
No, this is the middle of the season. We're at the halfway point here, I believe, right? At 41 games out of 82.
Yep, just had the halfway point.
If you want to claim a slow start, it's well past time.
So, I did a couple dives into one thing that last night it looked like we were well on our way to seeing yet another early curtain, right? Yeah. UC Saros has been pulled from games early for performance, not injury, 5 times this year. I thought we were going to have the 6th last night.
I was thinking it would head that way after the first.
Yeah,
I was really surprised to see him come back out for the second.
I'm glad that they did. I think it was probably good for him to stick it out, I think it was proven that he played better in the final 20 minutes. I mean, I don't know how much he really needed to, but because the first game that he was pulled this year was Edmonton, and then Minnesota, and then Vancouver, Carolina, and then most recently Calgary.
Okay.
So that is 5 times.
Yeah.
He has never been pulled that many times in a previous season.
Wow.
The most he got pulled in a season, most times he got pulled, again, for performance, not injury.
Right.
3 times in the 21-22 season, so this is the season where he was 3rd in the Vezina voting.
Right.
The year with the 2 40-goal scorers.
Yeah.
Playing Colorado in the first round. He got pulled 3 times that year, which is surprising, and actually a few of them were late in the season. A couple of games in April. Before that, he had a couple games in 2021, 1 game in 1920, 2 games in 18. He's been pulled 14 times total. 5 of them have been this year.
In the first half of this season.
Exactly.
This is a different Saros than we're used to seeing.
Yeah. Seems like it, right?
Well, again, the stats don't lie here. Mm-hmm. Something different is happening. Something else is going on. Do you have any ideas on what it could be, Alex?
Well, not exactly. So I talked to Saros today, and really, actually, I was asking him about one thing that they've been doing a lot recently. I've noticed at practices is Ben Vanderklok and the other goalie coach, I forget his name, would go out there with a tablet, like an iPad kind of thing, and are filming him as he's doing some sort of a drill. And usually the drills are lateral movement kind of related, like someone digs a puck out from behind the net, sends it to the front, and gets a shot, and so he has to move laterally from one side to the other and make a save, that kind of thing. Right. It's not usually just like taking slap shots or something. It's usually where he has to do a lot of movement. And so I've noticed that. So I asked him about it today, just kind of what they're looking for, what are they using for that, and he said they do it. They're kind of looking at everything, looking at all the details that go with that particular moment, posture, kind of the whole package is what he said.
Okay.
And I asked him, does he find that helpful? He said, yeah, it's really good. Sometimes you might feel one thing during a moment or see one thing in a moment, but then later you realize on watching on slow-mo that you see it maybe a little differently, and so it can help you there. And then I asked, have they been doing that more this year or more previously? And he said it feels like that they've been doing a little bit more and doing it more during practice than in previous years.
I noticed at the during preseason, I noticed that they were doing this with Askarov as well. So I thought it was interesting that you mentioned that, because I hadn't really noticed that at practice. But if they're doing that, then they've been doing that since before the season started.
They've always done it, right? I mean, you've seen them out there doing it. Yeah, they did it with Askarov. They've done it with all the goalies over the years. They did it with Pekka. I mean, it's not an uncommon thing.
Right.
But I was just wondering if they've done it more, and if they've done it more during practice like during the season. It's kind of more of training camp or like an
Right.
extended break kind of thing. And based on his answer, I think, yeah, they have been doing it more. I think it's more – it's probably not so I guess what I'm trying to say is I think the goalie coaches recognize it too.
Okay. Well, that's fair.
I think they're recognizing that there's something else going on. They're trying to find what's happening. They're trying to figure out what's exactly going on with them right now. So I don't think it's just us watching and having an overreaction to something.
Right.
I think there is something happening.
Okay, and let me say this. I think historically about the goaltender situation and talking about Pecorine, he was quite tall, Alex. I don't know if you knew this or not, but he was still is a rather tall man.
Yes,
Saw him
still
last
is.
night.
Yeah. He didn't lose feet or anything.
Towers over people. And when you're a big tall goalie, you've got a lot more body and reach and stuff that you can throw around out there in the crease to block shots. The big ding against Saros, and that people always want to point out, is the size. But one of the things they talk about is how precise he is with especially his lateral movement, and how that's something that he doesn't have a lot of wasted. You don't see him flailing as much as you would see maybe a larger goalie do it, because they know they have more length or more width or whatever, bigger pads, I don't know, to block those shots. Do you think this is something where his mechanics are starting to slip a little bit, where he's gotten a little bit older?
I think I don't think it's an age thing.
Okay.
But I can't say that it's not an age thing and then have another
use?
option. Use could be more of a. I would be more inclined to believe use than and not use as in usey, but use as in too much of it.
Well, that's exactly what I meant. But that's been something. It's been a criticism you've heard, is that they seem to be riding Saros pretty hard throughout last season
and
this season.
And it's not even like time. It's like shots wise. I mean, every year, the last 3 years, I think he's always been like either the top or the number 2 or 3
shots faced.
In shots faced, right? So it's not just he's getting. Not only is he playing a lot of games, but he's getting a lot of work out there.
Well, and we just talked about a shutout he had with 29 saves, and they all looked like they were pretty easy. Was that the easiest shutout you've ever had?
Oh yeah,
probably.
Yeah.
The more shots that you have to face on any given night, that's
that was
more.
Chicago.
That's more movement you have to do. That's more, quick twitch muscle reaction you have to have. That's going to wear you down. And when you're facing 29 shots that are all pretty simple, it's not that big of a deal. But if you are facing a heavy barrage of cannon fire, it's going to wear you down.
Yeah, and he's been definitely taking a lot of that. I don't know that I don't know that it means anything like about his potential about the rest of his career that's anything to worry about. I mean, I think he's also just like you have these stretches, right? I mean,
right.
In addition to he's had a lot of use over the last few years, he's not having a good go of it. I asked him also, I asked him if he feels physically good to go. I did, you don't want to ask specifically like how's your ankle, how's your hand, I just kind of was trying to get a feel for like how overall health wise, how are you feeling? And he says like great. I mean, he didn't say. He just is kind of just keeping. He wants to keep working hard and trust that in the long run it all works out. And also, I asked him about. I also asked him about the coaching changes, the coaching change, was that a potential growth obstacle? And he really just didn't. He's not really worried about that. He just the defensive changes in front of him. I don't think that's it either. I mean, I didn't get a sense that there's any problems there. So
I don't think so either.
No.
I mean, the goalies back there, they're there every game. Usually they're there 60 minutes, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more. They've got to defend shots. It doesn't matter who's in front of them. It shouldn't change a lot unless you just got somebody taking away your eyes, and that doesn't seem to be happening.
So I think the ultimate answer here would be what you hinted at, and that is that he's just been used a lot, and he's got a lot of. He's 30 now. Is that how old he is now? Is that right? 30.
I don't keep that information and like just on speed dial in my head.
Okay,
Alex,
he's no, I'm sorry, he's 28.
He's 28.
I'm not trying to add years to him. 28 now, but maybe he's got the mileage of like a 30-year-old or a 31-year-old, right? I mean, so it's like because he's been used so much over the last 5 years,
and he starting very early in his career compared to a lot of goalies. I think, correct?
Yeah, definitely.
So,
for sure.
He's got the wear and tear of a 30-year-old.
I also asked him about the McTavish goal last night. So because that was just like, if you watch that again, if you watch the replay of that, boy, he did not look comfortable in that play.
It was awkward.
Yeah, very awkward. It was on the power play. McTavish gets the puck on to his glove side at a pretty sharp angle.
Yeah.
And I asked him what was it about that play that gave him problems. And he said it was really actually the hesitation. So when McTavish gets the puck, he doesn't shoot it right away.
Yeah.
He kind of collects it a little bit and waits and then picks that corner. That hesitation made Saros think that he was going pass. And because the angle was so sharp too. Like he thought he was going to pass it. So you said he was kind of getting ready to reload to go to the other side or to come back to the middle.
Yeah.
And that kind of left that top open. So, he said that's kind of what happened there. And, guys, he said that's the league now. Players are so good. They can, if you leave those spots open, they will find them.
He's not wrong.
Yeah. So I think after the break, we're going to talk a little bit about one defenseman on the team who might not be here much longer, Tyson Barrie. We're going to break down what's going on with the Tyson Barrie situation.
As we look ahead to the next Predator Showdown, it's the perfect time to plan your future in Nashville. Salas Realty Group is ready to assist, ensuring your real estate goals are met with the determination of a playoff chase. Visit salasrealtygroup.com and let's start mapping out your game plan. Salas Realty Group, where every closing is a championship victory. Join the Nashville Spartans, the hockey sensation of the city. Experience thrilling games, family-friendly fun, and unity. Visit NashvilleSpartansHockey.com/tickets, select your game, and use promo code PBR50 for an exclusive 50% discount when checking out. Don't miss the excitement. Be a part of Spartans hockey today. Folks, welcome back to Penalty Box Radio Live, brought to you by Salas Realty Group and, of course, the Nashville Spartans. Alex told you, he teased that it was time to talk about a certain Predators defender that may not be here much longer. He said his name was?
Is it Tyson time?
It's Tyson time. Look, we've had Tommy time. We had
Tommy Talk.
Tommy Talk.
Yeah.
We had some Gus chat.
Gus chat.
And now it's Tyson time.
Tyson time.
It's Tyson time.
All right.
Look, let me give you the lowdown on a few things here. Tyson Barrie came to the Predators at the end of last season, the trade deadline, and a trade with the Edmonton Oilers for Mattias Ekholm. Now, everybody talked when he came to the team that more than likely he wouldn't be around for long anyway, that he was most likely a piece to be traded away the next season. So it's not totally surprising that this is a thing that's come up, especially with the coaching change and new coach, new approach to the game. But Tyson Barrie, basically from what we can tell, requested a trade back in very early December. I wouldn't say that he just came out and said, I would like to be traded to another team. It seemed like there was some behind-the-scenes stuff with maybe an agent making a statement somewhere along those lines. But that was back in early December. He kind of disappeared for a while. Like, they sat him. It kind of seemed like maybe they didn't want him to get injured. They were going to make a trade. And then, mysteriously, he played in 8 games since that started. His last game being December 23rd, which was the Dallas Heartbreaker. And now he is listed as day-to-day with an upper body injury since December 28th.
But he has been skating.
He's been skating. Now, when you've been at practice and he's been skating, has he just been out there by himself, just lonely on the ice, skating in circles slowly and sadly?
I was exaggerating on that, but yes.
I know. Or is he participating with the team?
Oh, today he was full participant. Yeah, he was with the team today. I mean, the first time he came back, which was Tuesday, he didn't skate much. He wasn't. It was an optional skate anyways. But
right.
I'm sorry, that was yesterday. But today at the full practice, he's there the whole time and he's participating. So I'm trying to think of what I can and can't say, but basically he's I would not say that he does not have an injury designation anymore. I don't think.
Okay.
As far as I can tell, he's
listed as a healthy scratch.
Well, he hasn't been officially listed as a healthy scratch yet.
Okay.
No. Yes. Go ahead.
I mean, I don't need you to. We don't need to say anything we don't need to say here. It's just,
we honestly don't know. I mean, there's a lot we don't know here.
We will get some kind of update. You know, like this person's been cleared to play.
Exactly.
This person's upper body injury day to day, 4 to 6 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. We get those kinds of things. It's just kind of been like there's really no news.
Yeah. There's no news, but there's also like kind of side news. Like there's not any official news, but
right.
I would think that it is news that he is skating and kind of a full participant now. Yeah. I'll be very interested to see what happens Friday. Friday he's either going to be a healthy scratch or I don't know, maybe not on the team anymore because they're going to trade him before then.
Or he could play.
I don't see that happening.
You don't? Okay, so here's the thing. This is what we got to figure out. And we're going to use this segment. Like, what's going on? Like, what's the story here? Okay?
Okay, go ahead.
Here's my thought.
Let's give your thought. Tommy time. Tyson time.
Tyson time. All right, let's go back to Coach John Hynes. He was the coach up until the end of last season.
Yeah.
And I remember there had been some kind of what's the word I'm looking for here? Some
shenanigans
back with Kyle Turris before all of this happened with Hynes. And so when Hynes came in, there were a lot of questions like, so when you sit a player, what's that process like? He was very transparent about it.
Yeah.
He's very transparent about it. He says when you sit a player, we kind of give them an expectation. This is what you need to work on. We check in with them. We update them. It's not a situation where they know ahead of time. We let them know, hey, you're not going to play tonight. Don't expect to play. Here's what you need to do to get back on that roster. Now, with Brunette, or with Hynes still, there's a lot of criticism that John Hynes didn't really like to sit his veterans.
Yeah.
In that he would much rather play a veteran that may not be producing very well as opposed to playing a younger player who has more offensive potential. That was a big criticism, I felt like. Now, with Brunette, he doesn't seem to be afraid to sit whoever he needs to sit.
Right.
Would you agree with that?
No. Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely agree with that. And I don't think that. Well, I don't think it's really any big secret at this point that why he's not playing.
Oh, I'm not talking about why. I mean,
Okay.
why did the situation come about in the first place?
Oh, okay.
That's.
Oh,
What
I
I'm
see.
thinking.
So we're
It's
kind of
not-
revisiting that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like I don't know. I think that's probably. I don't think it's one of those things where I don't think we'll ever really know.
No, probably not.
Like because I think you're right. I think it definitely I would agree with you that Andrew Brunette basically said you're not playing the way I want you to play, and so we're not going to play you. And Tyson Berry did not react well to that.
I don't think he liked, as a veteran, and
Yeah.
he is a longtime veteran of the league, I don't think he liked being scratched. I think he expected to play every night. I think he expected to be treated differently than, say, some of the way some of the younger players are being treated. And
Yeah.
of course, with Brunette, no one is immune. And I think that, if you're looking at that from a fan of the team perspective, that's what you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
You hear fans complain a lot when they think certain players need to be sat, and it doesn't mean they're always right, but it doesn't mean they're always wrong. There are a lot of criticisms with Hines not sitting players,
Yeah.
and he stuck to his guns, but Brunette seems willing to do it. So here's the thing. He's on an expiring contract. He's an unrestricted free agent at the end of the season, right? He has trade value. I mean, he's a serviceable defender.
Yeah. Of course he has trade value. Where can he go?
Well, that's a great question.
Like that's the problem right now. It's just like you have this valuable thing. I mean, it's not like super valuable, but there's value in Tyson Berry, and
Yeah.
I just there's not a lot of the math because of this whole thing with the long-term IR that teams are using. People are just up against the cap, and they can't do anything until teams have. There's so few teams that have actual the ability to move money like this. I think that's the problem right now, and that's why we're in the situation now. With this recent injury, probably didn't help because teams don't necessarily want to trade for him if they don't know what the injury is.
Yeah, you don't want to trade for a hurt player.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think they can do that. I think that's a different issue. But yeah, it's just there's only a few teams that can even trade for him right now, and the teams that would want to trade for him, teams like Toronto or Colorado or the Rangers or the Kings or the Avalanche that might be interested, are neck deep in long-term IR money
Yeah.
and cash poor right now.
There's not a lot of space out there. And I guess my other question is, and I want your take on this, when you have a player who maybe has kind of put this trade thing out there, willed it into existence via, say, their agent, something like that, they're not reacting well to being benched for their play. Does that lower their trade value? Does that make them a little bit riskier of an asset that you're willing to acquire?
Probably not.
No?
Probably not. I think they'd probably. Well, I think they're going to look at it however they want to look at it. I think they'd probably think, well, he wants to play, and that's the kind of player we want. We want a guy that wants to be out there. So I think they'll convince themselves either way.
Yeah.
I think and the other thing is, no one is acquiring Tyson Berry to become their top guy.
No.
They're acquiring him to be a bottom pairing guy, or they're a mid depth piece.
Right.
That's why I think he would be perfect at like Colorado or Toronto or Los Angeles or the Rangers. I mean, Devils I think might be interested. I don't know, but I think those teams would be fine with him and probably wouldn't care about any attitude issues because they only have him for this half season.
What do you think you could get back?
At this point, probably not a lot. Well, because that's the problem. Like the value in his trade is hampered by the situation with the money.
Right.
Because they have to take on about $2 million because he's 4.5 cap hit, but we're halfway through the season, so it's like two and a quarter of money, and a lot of these teams don't have that, and so you're either gonna have to take on money back or retain, which I know the Predators don't want to do because that would be another retained salary. So they're either gonna have to get another third team involved, or, I mean, I think if they got a third team involved to take on some cap, then the Predators are gonna have to send like something to them.
Yeah.
They're going to have to maybe they get a third and then have to give up a fifth or something to this other team that's willing to take on the cap.
So you think there'd be draft picks involved?
Yeah,
Well,
I think those have to be.
Alex, speaking of draft picks, coming up on the next segment, I'm very excited about this. We are going to have our 3-on-3 draft after we do a little bit of preview of the next games coming up for the Predators.
That's right.
So stay tuned for that. And, folks, the show's almost over, but your real estate journey is just beginning. With Salas Realty Group, you're always on the winning team. Their dedication to clients is as relentless as the Preds on a power play. Lace up for your real estate play at SalasRealtyGroup.com. Salas Realty Group, where every deal is a hat trick.
And welcome back to Penalty Box Radio Live, presented by Salas Realty Group and the Nashville Spartans. We are in our final segment of this week's show. Sean,
Alex,
we got to preview some games here before we get to the fun part of the final segment. But the Predators, we just found out, will not practice tomorrow. They had a big old practice today.
Yeah.
Boy, I'll tell you about that in a second. I'll tell you one thing that happened is kind of funny. But they will. That means they will travel to Dallas tomorrow to take on. But one day ahead of taking on the Stars on Friday night. Then they will come back home for a really quick matchup with the Islanders on Saturday. And then they head out for a 3-game West Coast trip where they take on Vegas and someone else. A couple other teams in there, right?
I think that they play San Jose.
Let's see it. They got Vegas, and they got Los Angeles, and they got Arizona. And then they come back
San
home
Jose. Okay.
for one game, and then they go back on the road for 3 more games. So they're doing a lot of road games coming up here.
Yeah.
So at practice today, they had kind of a big one. I mean, it was a long practice, and they did their basically their equivalent of a bag skate. Put this out there on social media, but it's not really what you'd expect of it as a bag skate, but it's kind of their It's the best, closest thing you're going to have to that at the NHL level.
Right.
I mean, they do like this kind of routine, like each position has a certain path to go, and they have to do this whole thing as a group. They all have to stay together, and they do it 4 times. And it looks exhausting. And this is after an hour practice, and they got to go full speed and all this stuff. And it looks very exhausting. But and you know, some of them came off the ice and looked a little tired and everything. But Philip Tomasino comes off the ice, and he plops down, and I was like, Phil, tough skate out there. And he just was like all smiles, and he was like, it was great. And I was like, oh, was it? He was like, yeah, I loved it. It was awesome. And he was being genuine. He was not being sarcastic or anything.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, it wasn't that bad. And he was like, no, it's great. It's it's gonna help us. You know, he was very positive about this.
That's great.
This like attempt at making them tired at the end,
right? As
a semi-punishment, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that was interesting. He wasn't the only one that had that attitude. He was the one that stuck out to me.
I think that's nice when you have that, though. I mean, it's conditioning's a big part of this game, and if you're not in good condition, you can't keep up. So get him skating hard.
Skating hard. Okay, it's time to kick off today's 3-on-3 draft. Let's do it, Sean.
Okay.
It is time for our 3-on-3 draft, and this week we are drafting bar fight moves.
Oh, man.
So here's how this works. Let's say that you're in a bar.
Okay.
And some yahoo is looking at you wrong.
Oh, man.
He wants to start something.
Oh, boy. Trouble's brewing.
Maybe he looked at your lady wrong, or he said something out of line to the bartender.
Oh, man.
I don't know. Talked about your mama. I don't know.
No.
And you gotta fight this guy. So you're gonna draft, Sean, your bar fight moves. When you're in a bar fight? What are your go-to moves?
I've done a lot of research on this. I watched the movie Roadhouse.
Did you? Okay.
7 times.
7 times today?
No, just
wow.
That'd
be devotion.
Well, it's a good movie. There's a lot of philosophy in it.
I'm gonna go ahead and tell you I haven't seen Roadhouse.
Well, that's a shame. You don't know what you're missing out on.
I bet that means I'm gonna lose.
Who goes first this time?
I think it's my turn to go first.
Okay, well, go first, Alex.
All right, my first move is gonna be the beer bottle smash over the head.
Okay.
I grab the beer bottle, full, preferably, just for more of a show. I grab the beer bottle and I smash it on his head. That's my first pick.
Okay, that's a good pick. That was on my list.
Yeah.
I will have you know. But I want to go with mine. And this one, as much as I love Roadhouse, it doesn't come from Roadhouse. It comes from another show, but this can be used in a bar fight. It is a full Walker, Texas Ranger style roundhouse kick to the face.
That is good. So now, it's been a while since I've seen the show. I did see it a few times as a kid. Is that where... I mean, I know what a roundhouse is. Well, first of all, you're wearing, like, boots, right? So this is like a kick to the face.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to kick somebody in the face wearing some Adidas.
That's a good point. That's a quote right there. Never kick someone in the face with Adidas.
Yeah. I mean, you got to have some boots on.
Yeah.
Come on.
That's a good one. I think it's a solid pick. That's a kind of a universal go-to Walker, Texas Ranger style. Now, are there different styles?
I don't know. I just wanted to mention Walker.
Is there like
Texas
a Bruce
Ranger.
Lee roundhouse kick versus?
There probably is.
Okay.
I don't know. It's fun to talk about Walker Texas Ranger. That's another quote right there.
All right, so my second pick is a single leg takedown.
Oh, hey, that's good.
So like that's an actual wrestling term, right? A single leg takedown.
That's good. We like it.
So this is where I've smashed him in the head with a beer bottle.
Right.
Hopefully stunning him and dizzying him so he doesn't even know what to do next.
I hope so.
And then I've got to incapacitate him. I'm not a very large gentleman.
Right.
I don't have a lot of mass to deal with. So I've got to get the upper hand, right? I've got to get this guy down.
You've got to get the higher ground.
I've got to get the higher ground, right? And so if you go in and you just grab one leg, lift it up, and lean them over, and then you kind of you crash them to the ground, right? Now you can do this without falling yourself, but I'd probably have to just land on top of him, I guess. Does that make sense?
What kind of fight is this?
I'm just saying. Like, I don't know.
You got to stay up.
Well, okay, I'll try to. I'll work on it. But that's my second move is a single leg takedown of this guy.
You fall down on top of the guy, you're in a vulnerable position.
Well, I'm swinging too. I'm not just falling on top.
That's true.
I'm punching.
That's true. Some ground and pound, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Okay. My next pick. So it's kind of tough. I was really looking at that broken bottle smash. And really, you said to smash the bottle over the head. I was thinking smash the bottle on the bar, stab the guy with it,
Oh,
right?
wow. Okay. We're getting into manslaughter territory.
If you're not going to go hard, why go at all?
All right.
I don't know.
By the way, we're assuming we don't have any weapons here, right? This is assuming no. Okay.
I didn't know we were supposed to
maybe-
assume that.
Maybe not.
What kind of you shouldn't go to the bar without.
No, I mean like I guess what I'm saying is like no guns or anything. Like you didn't come into the bar packing, right?
No, well, not a
Okay.
gun.
Okay.
But
All right.
there is a weapon involved in this one. Since we can't do any, smashy cutty with the bottle there because you've already taken
Oh,
it.
right.
I say you break out your switchblade and you just stone cold stab a guy.
So you did bring a weapon into this bar.
Well, yeah. Have you been to this bar before, Alex? It's rough.
Okay, so you brought a switchblade. Now
Yeah.
But I think I'm gonna call foul on this. I think you need something else that's not a weapon.
Well, what is a broken beer bottle? An
Okay.
accessory?
All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I'll let you have it. I'll let
Okay.
you have it. All right. My third pick. You might not like this one.
Okay.
Run out of the bar.
I mean, it's fight or flight,
That's
right?
me. That's me.
Okay.
I am not a fighting kind of guy, but I will. I mean, if I have to, I will smash the beer bottle. I'll take him down, and I'm gone. I'm running out.
That's fair. And, if we want to go with a move like that to close it out, I've got one that I've lifted from another source.
Okay.
I have some very violent, aggressive things listed here. I'm not going to use them. Okay?
Well, we can hear him. We can do some honorable mentions. Some undrafted
we're
free
going
agents.
to go with a move that I learned from Homer Simpson. All right? You ready
Okay.
for it?
Yeah.
As the guy approaches you, you scream like a woman.
Okay.
And then you fall down in the fetal position until he's so disappointed and ashamed of you that he turns around to walk away.
Okay.
And then it's time to kick some back.
I am so stunned right now. Why is this a bar fight move?
Well, why is running away a bar
Okay,
fight move?
all right.
I mean,
So
you're-
wait, you
you're-
kind of drafted mine.
No, you're not running away. You
Oh,
kick
okay.
them in the back as
Okay.
they walk away, but you have to get them to walk away first.
Okay. Got it.
They're disgusted with you. You're like, you're so
I
weak.
see.
You're laying on the ground, crying.
So you're humiliating yourself. It's like a bear.
They're like, I'm disgusted, and they turn around to walk away. And then when they turn their back,
You're
kick them
making
in
it
the
so
back.
okay. You're
Yeah.
making it so that they don't even want to fight you anymore because
Yeah.
they're
Right. You call that kick some back.
okay. So wait, you're standing back up and kicking them?
Well, yeah. I mean,
Oh,
they've
okay.
turned around. I mean,
I
they've,
see, I
they've
see.
lowered their guard. You got to
I
take
get
advantage.
it. This is way too complicated of a bar fight move.
Well, I
Just
didn't
gonna
know we
say.
were going with run, but if we were going to do a
my other
move where it's to just get out of there.
my other option would have been the bar stool crack.
Yeah. That's
Like,
a good one.
Crack him over the back with that.
I had that on my list. I also had a headbutt,
Okay.
an eye gouge.
Eye gouge. See, all of these have been good.
Yeah, these are good. But I think since
Yeah.
you went with the coward's way of running,
Okay.
I would also give you a cowardly move of kicking someone in
Got
the
it.
back after they walk away.
All right, so I have the single leg takedown, the beer bottle smash and run. You have the Walker Texas Ranger roundhouse kick, the switchblade, and then some sort of kick him in the back thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that one.
All right, who wins?
You know what? I'm gonna have to go with Alex here.
All right. Why do I win? Which one won it for me?
The beer bottle smash. It's
It's iconic.
it's iconic.
It's
It
like
is.
that's what you think of.
It is a good one.
It's good that I had the first pick. I
don't
almost
have a
didn't go with
problem
that one first, actually.
No, you went with the right one first. You took a big one off the board.
All right, that does it for the 3-on-3 draft, and that does it for our show. Thank you very much for listening to Penalty Box Radio Live. We appreciate you every week. We will cover the Nashville Predators next week, not on Wednesday, but on Thursday. January 18th. So the Predators, there's a conflict next Wednesday with the station, so we'll be on the air leading into the Preds game against Vegas. So Thursday the 18th. At 7 p.m. we will go, and then the pregame for the Predators at Vegas Golden Knights will start at 8, and then the game is at 8:30. So next Thursday, January 18th, is our show. Again, thank you so much. Sean, have a good night.
Oh, I'll do my best, Alex. You
Okay.
have a good night as well.
All right, we'll see everyone next week.